Hi, Adrian again from Thatch Fitness. In today's clip, I wanted to kind of try and define what the term functional core means. If you go online and type in functional core, you get hundreds of articles and video clips talking about developing or whatever a functional core is, but it's often quite confusing. And certainly from what my experience is that most people don't develop a functional core and they get very caught up on a particular type of exercise for the core that develops only one aspect of it, which is not really beneficial for the long-term sort of best development of the core overall. So the core should do three things. So when I talk about functional core, I expect the core to be able to do three things. Firstly, it should be able to be flexible and strong enough to be able to move through all the ranges that a core should be able to move through. So you should be able to bend forward and bend back and bend sideways and rotate through quite large ranges of motion. Straight away you might think, wow, okay, yes, I don't bend backwards very much, and that's something that the core should be able to do well and the spine should be able to handle, but we often spend so little time doing that, then what happens, we start losing that capacity, which leads to some future problems, which I'll talk about in a minute. Secondly, we often lose the ability to be able to tolerate these extreme positions that we might find ourselves in. And so, again, this is a classic one. An extension and a rotation, which is something that you might get yourself into, is an area that we should really develop because the core needs to learn how to support the spine in these ranges. And a good example, a colleague of mine just earlier this year, his daughter came up and leapt at him from the side and he twisted and turned and caught her in this position here, and as she landed on him, he ruined his lower back and his back was sore for months and months and months. And that's because he'd done no training. All of the training he'd done had been in from kind of like a neutral position in here. He'd done nothing in this range, and therefore the core wasn't quite sure what to do about protecting the spine when a load was placed upon him. And thirdly, what the core is designed to do, two things. One is it's designed to initiate a movement, which is what we typically see in a gym environment, but it's also designed to resist a movement. So for instance, if I drop something and I rapidly drop down to try and grab some keys I've dropped, or I've got to rapidly twist and turn, the core is also designed to be able to control that movement, because a rapid movement without control can massively put load onto your lower back in particular and can lead to injuries. And again, that's an area that we rarely see people train in any sort of gym environment, the deceleration component of your core. They do a lot of this stuff, but they rarely do stuff where they brake rapidly and have to prepare the core. So again, that's something that we should do. So if you can develop a functional core that has all of those attributes, then that's what I would then give ticks in the box to say you've now developed a functional core. Now in my upcoming Introduction to the Core course, we will do a couple of things. We'll firstly test to see where your core strength is at currently, and then what we'll do is we'll then develop a whole range of exercises that will be appropriate to start to develop all of those different aspects, so that at the end of that time, you will then have hopefully developed, or certainly on the way to develop, a really functional core. So stay tuned, and there'll be an upcoming clip coming shortly that will talk a little bit more about other components of the course, but stay tuned.